Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff, Jimmy Ott, Jordan Kitchens back in the studio. It is a regular football Monday. Frank Wilson press conference at about 11:40 in the middle of the show. We'll have that for you. Troy Macker with us also on a Monday. We're glad that you are with us as well on a foggy day here in the capital city. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Charlie.
Yeah, the LSU football team with a 1-point win against Arkansas at Tiger Stadium on Saturday morning / afternoon. So the few things I want to say about before we get into the nuts and bolts of this. We understand that there's a coaching search going on, and that trumps everything. And that's fine. I understand that this game is not going to catapult LSU into the playoffs or into another level of ranking or whatever. It's just a win over a winless in the conference football team by 1 point in your home stadium. Okay, all of that's true. I get it. Okay, so when we start talking about this game and some of the emotional factors that went into it, I understand all of that, okay? I understand that when they do the next, rendition of the history of LSU football, this game ain't going to be, up at the top of the marquee. But considering everything that's going on here the last few weeks, I was happy for the kids and I was happy for the coach that they got a win, okay? It's been a rough go for them for a lot of reasons. And even though this has been a disappointing season, I was not at all disappointed to see that they had some joy. And that starts with Frank Wilson, who was emotional. Jimmy, you know the backstory here. I mean, it's been told, but you being from New Orleans especially know this backstory with Frank and why this game meant so much.
There's a lot of people from New Orleans I'm not as close to as Frank Wilson. Frank Wilson's family, period. And one time Frank and I were at something. I said, man, well, Frank's like family. She said, we are family. So, I mean, my dad was very, very proud of Frank, and my dad had a big impact on Frank's life. And knew Frank's uncles and cousins. And so Frank is, in the pay for play era, he's still the guy that is invested in what he knows best as far as how to build relationships through the recruiting process. And Charlie, there's certain players now you got to pick and choose. Like, okay, this kid needs to be ridden hard. He needs to, to try and get the best out of him. This one needs to be patted on the back more to kind of get the most out of him. But one thing I think that is consistent in coaches getting to motivate players off season, during season, when they're away from you. One of my dad's biggest things, self-discipline, Frank talks a lot about as well, it rubbed off on him, is if you care about your players off the field, they will give you more on the field. And maybe Frank is better at that than maybe his most recent supervisor. I mean, if you had to say, and maybe Frank is the anti-Brian Kelly, when he is spending time, investing time, traveling, going to see, the player, the mom, the uncle, the brothers, and everything else. Future players, current players, ex-players, the whole thing. He's reached out to all of them. And I know side stories where he is, when something happens, man, I don't know what kind of, they call Frank. And so Frank, they leaned on him because he is the guy. He is the one guy that they have spent the most time with. So if, no, it's not going to be an all-timer when we're talking about. There's not a ton on the line, but for the Frank and for those players, yeah. I mean, everybody's instructed or mentored to kind of like, man, give it your best, give it your best, give it your best. But you got to have a little positive reinforcement at some point. And maybe a win on Saturday, come from behind win, down 14 right out the chute, was a little positive reinforcement for the current staff, and the current team as well. Because I think the best, the data point that Frank has done the best, we can look at, how many commitments have they lost in this recruiting class to this point? And that's a real low number compared to most in this situation.
And I thought that getting off to that poor start, okay, could have doomed them. Think about what was going on there. They come out, your quarterback is making his first start here. He's nervous. He's off of his game. It is not a great crowd, okay? This is a morning start, which is tough under the best of circumstances, so it's not one of those magical nights in Tiger Stadium.
No, they're going because we got the tickets.
Yes, and the weather's nice, okay?
Yeah.
We'll get outside. You make a huge mistake on special teams, it puts you in an even bigger hole, and you find yourself down 2 touchdowns. We make the joke all the time. We do keys to the V, get off to a good start. When do you want to get off to a bad start? Well, this bad start was overcome by a lot of big plays.
Struggling teams, it's more important because if they're down, they're going to stay down usually if they get off to a bad start.
The inertia of college football, for sure. And they came back and they made – I thought this was a game where it was just a lot of – big plays, signature plays, not necessarily long-distance plays, but huge plays for a team that's had a hard time getting in the end zone in the red zone, for Caden Durham to rip off a 27-yard touchdown run, for Harold Perkins, who has been up and down all year. You know, there have been good games and bad games, to have one of his best games. Arkansas must think that guy's like Lawrence Taylor or something. But
he is.
Against them, he has been. A goal line stand that is the guy that's right in the middle of your goal line stand is a 6th-year senior who came back after a season-ending injury a year ago. An 87-yard touchdown drive that's engineered by the quarterback that is making his first start, that includes a handful of trick plays, stuff that you might run once a season, if that. All of those things, some key turnovers that you caused, the delaying interception in the end zone to turn Arkansas back at the end of the first half. And not only that, but 3 big plays after that. 33 seconds to go. You're on your own 20-yard line. Be easy to just run it out. Well, they popped a couple of runs. Durham and Barry both popped a run. And then I thought one of Van Buren's best throws of the day to Xavier Thomas's 25-yard line to set up a makeable field goal. And I could go on. There were other runs, and there were other plays in this game. They needed every one of them. They won this game by a point, okay? It's literally probably 6 inches of real estate between Jacoby and Guillory, the ball carrier, and the end zone, but they kept them out. So they did everything that you needed to do. It wasn't perfect. The special teams lapses, that have been there really in the second half of the season, an awful lot were there. They allowed way too much in the return game. They got the punt blocked. There were 2 guys. They botched that so bad. There were 2 guys that were kind of falling all over themselves to block the punt.
Yeah.
So they certainly made some mistakes, but the effort was there, the enthusiasm was there, and the emotion was there after the game. It wasn't lost on me between Frank's interview, the players in the locker room, and all that stuff.
I missed a lot of the post-game stuff. Fill me in.
Well, okay, so the first thing is that he's doing the interview coming off of the field, and was asked, what does this mean to you? And he got choked up, and I know he's thinking about one of his mentors,
Shan.
Shan, and he says, it means everything, and he's kind of choked up. And then when he goes to the post-game press conference where he's meeting with the local media, Caden Durham comes in and gives him a hug in the middle of the press conference, like, screw the formality. I'm going to come give you a. And then when he came into the locker room, there's a video. They're all hooping and hollering. They're jumping up and down. It's a joyous locker room, and he jumped right into the middle of the pile. Okay, so this means something. And like I said at the open, I get that this doesn't fix everything that's wrong with LSU. All it does was mean they got one more win in this season, one more win in conference play. But I was happy that they got to experience that on Saturday.
You don't want to tell the new coach who to hire, but more evidence to the LSU's next coach that, like, this is a guy that you might want to start with, because if you don't, they'll be in line to scoop him up.
Frank is holding this thing together right now from a recruiting standpoint as well. And we talked with Shea Dixon on Saturday about that. And you just mentioned the number. Signing date is 4 days after the end of the regular season. 4 days. I mean, the calendar doesn't do you any favors. And to say nothing of the fact that school ends about a week after the season ends. You got all of these kids that are trying to make a decision whether they're going to go in the portal or they want to stick around here. Well, I wouldn't blame anybody on that staff if the number one thing on their mind today was, where's their next job? Because they're not, none of them, even Frank, none of them are guaranteed a job here. It appears to me, from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, that everybody on the staff right now is focused on this completely, and will be until they're told not to. And it doesn't have to. That's not automatic. That's not automatic.
No, Charles. Let's clarify that. No, when you fire the head coach, the entire staff is fired.
Yes.
Okay. When you say, "Oh, I can't believe it," no, that everybody is fired. It's a matter of if they go on, the new coach is going to rehire them. From the secretary to the offensive coordinator to the recruiting coordinator to the general manager, everybody. And usually, what would you say, 90%, 80 to 90% of the current staff is usually going to be working somewhere else next year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing in all
the
guys.
way it was last time.
That's not just LSU. That's all over. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, Lane Kiffin, wherever he's going to be next year, well, man, most of his staff is going to go with him.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's two divisions of that. It's the guys that go with him and the guys that get promoted because he's leaving. In some cases.
To the game, you look at it. Arkansas is 2-8, 0-6, but they're dangerous. And they proved that.
6-1 score losses.
Is that right?
6.
So you include the Memphis game?
Five in the league and one
against
game. Memphis, yeah.
What do you make of just 54 offensive snaps for Arkansas? Running the ball for LSU contributed to that, to keep the clock going, obviously. They were balanced. 37 rushes, 33 passing attempts. But 54. That's usually been flipped. LSU's been the one that didn't have any snaps this year.
They turned the ball over 3 times. That's 3 possessions. Arkansas. That's
yes,
3 possessions.
Cut short.
Yeah.
3 possessions cut short. And, you just stopped them and you blocked the punt, so you're giving the ball back again.
Correct.
Defensive special teams touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I thought Mike Delicano did a great job because, okay, what do we think about when you go from Nussmeier to Van Buren? Well, Van Buren can move more. Okay, well, we'll try and move him. So that doesn't mean he's a good thrower on the move because he's more mobile than Nussmeier. And you saw that. Those the early throws where he ain't even the guys are open, too.
Yeah.
And he's not even close. And 1, nerves, and 2, we get a little confused on that because as far as thinking because he's more mobile, he'll be able to throw the ball accurately on the run. Not the case, but he settled down completely because he was a mess early, man. He was, we just expected to see the same guy that came in relief that looked a little bit more settled. But his first start, the build-up, I know. And you know what, too, Charlie? You're not nervous about things you don't care about. So another little indication, even though it was a negative, him being so nervous and affecting his play early, it's another little sign that, no, this is meant more than just the regular phone it in type of game in a situation where teams fell way below their preseason goals.
He is betting on himself. We talked about it last week. Now the circumstances changed a little bit when Nussmeier was ruled out, but he essentially said it is worth it to me to play the rest of this season rather than to sit out and gain another season in 2028. I feel like I can make enough of an impact now that I will increase my stock here or wherever next year. And you're betting basically 3 games against 12 for the 2028 season, which he would have gotten had he redshirted. That's a big gamble for him to make. Early returns, I thought he played pretty well on Saturday after the slow start.
I do want to shift my stance because we still thought, because Frank said last week, they're both going to play.
And Nussmeier was taking the number 1 reps. We took him at his word.
That Nussmeier would start and Van Buren would play.
That's what it felt like.
I do not want to have, if that's my son or whoever, I don't think it was in Van Buren's best interest to just play sparingly in relief and burn that year of eligibility. No, if you're going to start and finish 3 games and maybe a bowl game, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. And I thought that, again, is he the LSU's answer at quarterback moving forward? I can't say that.
They're going to bring in another guy. There'll be competition.
Probably 2. Okay, now
really?
Colin Hurley's left the team, so that's another spot. Assuming that he doesn't come back, that's another spot. I would imagine that there'll be at least 2 quarterbacks that are not on this roster that'll be on
from U-High Picarella's not a complete stiff.
I learned his name Saturday.
I saw him play a few times at U-High.
I didn't.
He's had a different little high school path. West Bank, Mississippi, Baton Rouge.
I wasn't aware that. I don't think anybody was aware that Hurley had left the team until Sports Information released it in the middle of the game. So yeah, there'll be other quarterbacks, but has he put himself at least in a position where he can come in and compete? Yes. Okay. He's got a chance to strengthen that position. But whoever comes in is going to look at all of the quarterbacks next spring, and they're going to say, "Hey, Van Buren has this advantage to him. He doesn't. If he comes back here, he doesn't have to beat out an incumbent. Okay, it'll be a quarterback competition. You would think
that's up to the new coach.
Well, not that he won't be an incumbent. Now they could bring in a starter from somewhere else.
Van Buren.
He might not.
He might not. We have 2 or 3 of his own coming.
We have no idea. Yeah. We're here at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill. Every Monday night is all-you-can-eat boiled shrimp, and every Wednesday night is dollar wings. Also line dancing on Wednesday nights, and live music every weekend here at Big Mike's. Be a DJ here for the next 2 LSU games. Preston Wallace here for that. And one of the best happy hours anywhere, a true happy hour with real discounted prices from 4 until 8, Monday through Friday. You're talking about $2.50 beer, domestic bottles, and draft $4 Wells, $5 wine, and those prices are good all day on Sunday, starting at 11 o'clock. So if you want to come out and watch the NFL, you do that here in Big Mike's.
Awesome place to watch games.
All the new TVs, yes.
Even the scoop looks good on the TV right now.
All the big TVs here at Big Mike's. Of course, we're winding down the high school football season, but they're open late on Friday nights, family friendly. They are closed on Thanksgiving Day, but we open the rest of the holiday weekend. So closed on Thanksgiving Day. So enjoy that with your family, but the rest of the holiday weekend be open here at Big Mike's.
Ain't candy left from Trunk or Treat? Huh?
No.
Kids scooped them up, huh?
Here on Aspen Square in Denham Springs, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. LouisianaSports.net is brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com, supporting our Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. Go to SupremeRice.com. Can we talk about Lane Kiffin?
Sure.
I want to talk about Lane Kiffin. I feel like ever used to listen to Don Imus in the 90s? No matter what was going on, he'd come to the radio show every day. He goes, I don't care what else is going on. I want to talk about Bill Clinton. It was like the polarizing figure. So in college football right this second, Lane Kiffin is the polarizing figure. Save the other jokes.
He's in the catbird seat.
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the game, which was a teeth-pulling thing for them, given that they went over 500 yards of total offense and still had to kind of fight their way through this thing. 2 drives that got down inside the 3-yard line. They come away with no points, and they had to fight their way through this thing. So he got asked about lack of focus after the game. He said, well, I don't know, lack of 500, and I think it was 540. So it looks pretty focused to me, but, you say whatever you want.
No matter what you stand on it, and every situation is different. But there are so many more coaches in pro and college that are going for it on 4th down, way more. We saw 2 chip shot field goal attempts in the game in Madrid yesterday morning.
To take the lead.
It's less than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
They just skipped on it and went for it on 4th instead of taking a lead with 2 minutes to go in the game or less. Lane's always going for it on 4th down. Mm-hmm. Okay, when it's kind of that iffy area.
Prior to this year.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Always, meaning, prior, yes, for a long time now, before everybody else started to try and go for it on 4th down on his own side of the field. But when you miss, it's a big deal. When you miss, it's a turnover. If you want to see what Alabama in Oklahoma, it's all turnovers. That decided that whole game when you outgained them 2-1 and everything else. So, you're going to give another team a turnover. 0 for 5 last night for Detroit, for the Madman, for kneecaps. I mean, and we've seen him in action in a conference championship a game where you can make a strong argument he cost his team by being a little over-aggressive on 4th down, a berth in the Super Bowl. But Kiffin at 5 or 7. But, Charlie, we don't know what Florida's going to bring. Is it going to be the Florida that played against Kentucky? No, it wasn't.
No.
It was more like the Florida that played Georgia.
Especially in the first half, for the whole game.
I mean, it's back and forth. You had lead changes. No, Ole Miss was very much in a game. And that's when they go up 10-0, and Florida's up 13-10. Oh, and then Ole Miss takes a lead. So 17-14. Then Florida 21. I mean, it's back and forth, bro. Back and forth. This was a 50-50 game, and Ole Miss makes enough plays at the end and pulls away because Chambliss is a little bit more of a dependable passer than Lagway. That, to me, is where, ultimately that kind of caught up with him. And how about his evaluation for talent? Or is it where he puts his skill players in where they're going to have so much more success? How many carries did Lacey have last year for Missouri? Like 23, 25 carries for the season?
He had 31 yesterday, or Saturday.
I mean, 224 and 3 TDs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, him and then the other guy from Missouri, they got him. I think was he at Southern Miss his freshman year?
Hardy? No, I thought Hardy was.
Or just went straight to Missouri.
No, I think was he at UM Monroe?
I think that's right. That is right. Yeah. That is right. UM Monroe. So, but how does Lane continue to get? Or does he's such a good offensive mind that he puts his quarterbacks, his running backs, his receivers in offensive friendly situations where they're able to? That's his strength. I mean, he can take different guys almost every year and produce numbers. Because even when it seems like they are struggling, man, at the end of that, they got 500 yards of offense every game. Every game.
538 to be exact here. So let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about, which is what's Lane going to do next. They have a bye week this week before the Egg Bowl. They've already played 11 games, so they've only got the Egg Bowl left on this thing. They are a shoe-in to make the playoffs, regardless of what happens there, or the SEC championship game. And he's got, at the very least, 2 offers on his desk, maybe 3.
He's got 3.
Yeah. We at least heard a little bit of rumblings yesterday that, and really even before this, but especially yesterday, that the powers that be there are getting I think you used the term antsy last week.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next highest after antsy?
Aggravated.
Aggravated. Desperate. Where
They feel like
they
they have provided what he has asked for, what he's requested to make them competitive.
We have done everything we can do for you except be the University of Florida or LSU. Everything we can do for you that you have asked, we have done within reason.
I do think LSU is going to have a coach within 2 weeks from today. They will have a coach.
Okay, well, that's December the 1st, I think. Yeah. Okay. Then
Rick Neuheisel today said that he thinks that Lane's going to Florida.
Thinks that Lane's going to Florida.
Buck was on his show today and said that the word down when his visits Jacksonville. And of course, they think they got the deal done. What we know is he has not signed that new deal with Ole Miss for a reason. I think he said maybe $13 million or something like that.
When Napier was fired at Florida, the first number we heard that had any credibility for it was 13.4.
I'll give me the over. If it's
that was a month ago.
Okay, whatever. I mean, if it's under 15, I'll be shocked.
Okay.
LSU's in the mix. He values the LSU job. There's no doubt about it. Just listen to his comments with, little bitty Ole Miss going against big bad LSU, these type of things. He knows that Florida, his wife, is not only the alum of Florida, but her dad played quarterback for Florida. Was a really good quarterback, John Reeves. His ex-wife, the mother of his children, was in Oxford with the kids. I mean, it's you asking me if he's going to go to LSU, Florida State? I don't know. I don't know
if anybody knows.
I don't think
other
he knows.
Than
you think he knows?
That's a great question. Does he know?
If he wanted to stay at Ole Miss, because is there a chance with all of this it could be a distraction?
Yeah.
Do you think maybe some Ole Miss administrators or people that started to come out and get a little pissy with him after and said, do they think they know they were a double-digit favorite? Did that game play out like they were that was not a routine win, as you should be. So no matter if it's not the same team that the Florida team that played Georgia instead of Kentucky, they don't care. They just like, man, we barely got out of this thing alive. Are we going to screw up this thing and go into the playoff for the first time? We're going to have a relevant game in Oxford. Forget the damn Sugar Bowl and this bowl and whatever. I mean, you're playing in the playoff. That's a big deal. And they ain't had a big deal game in a long time in Oxford. And these distractions may cost us. So now they're getting aggravated. But why hasn't he signed? So that's why I put Ole Miss third in their chance. You want to break it down? If you want to say 40% Florida, 40% LSU, 20% Ole Miss, I can live with that. But Ole Miss is third in the probability because he could have signed this thing a month ago.
And I have an answer to your question, and the answer is leverage. And I think that this is coming out of his agent's office because that's what Sexton does. He's excellent at his job. How many times, Jimmy, we see a player holding out of training camp, and they're like, "Man, I want to go to work. I want to go to camp. I want to go play." And the agent's like, "No, you're going to sit right there because unless you do this, this is how we get the best deal." For all we know, Lane Kiffin may want to sign one of these contracts now.
That's why you pay for the representation.
That's right.
Because you take out the emotion of it.
Yes.
You take out the
yeah.
Yes.
And so, for all we know, Lane Kiffin told Jimmy Sexton last night, "Look, I want to sign this and get this over with." And Sexton is telling him, "We are going to get you the best deal. That's why you hired me. And to do that, it's going to be painful for a little bit.
Lane reserves the right to trump Sexton at any point.
He can fire him at any time. It's his
fire
it's his
him,
job.
He can overrule him. He can do.
Yes, he can.
He can do what he reserves that right.
Yes.
So,
okay.
What do you think?
He hasn't yet.
No, I know that. I know that because I know this about Lane Kiffin. He thinks the Florida and LSU jobs are better.
Yes, he does.
He thinks the LSU.
Despite the fact that he's won more games at Ole Miss the last 5 years than at either of those places.
He's constantly whining about the disadvantages at Ole Miss. Constantly. Okay.
The Auburn job is better. They won more games than Auburn. He turned that down 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. Florida job's better. LSU job's better. He's won more games than those two schools too.
And when he says, I'll tell Jimmy, that doesn't mean anything. It's man, I'm not listening to anything. He, this little cream puff piece about his daughter's not going to let him leave Oxford. Okay, all right, whatever. I'm not buying into all that nonsense.
Doesn't the daughter's boyfriend live here?
For Love in Oxford, she spent a lot of time at Baton Rouge. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, a Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060, full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get every time you call 296-0060. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title.
Live at Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just recovering from the weekend and getting ready for another fun week of sports.
Hey, Troy, we're watching, we're doing Football Sunday yesterday, and we're watching the end of the Washington-Miami game in Madrid. Some interesting game management. What's the feel from Redskin or Commanders land about just passing on, taking a lead with 2 minutes to go with a short field goal attempt?
Yeah, frustration with field goal kicker. The team hasn't had a good field goal kicker since I was in elementary school, which was a very long time ago. There's also some demons because the only other time the Commanders have played overseas, they actually played in a tie against the Bengals, and it was because the field goal kicker missed 2 field goals, including one at the end of regulation and the one at the end of overtime to pick up the win. So. I think at this point it's just projection. I don't think anyone wants to see Jaden Daniels back on the field. Not because we don't like him, but there's no reason for him to come back and play and potentially get hurt. Let's finish out this season and get a draft pick. I think there's also some frustration with they were running the ball pretty well. Why they throw in the very first play of overtime and to give the Dolphins back with a bad interception. Mariota had been playing well, so. I actually enjoy waking up and especially with little kids watching the 9:30 game, so I can get the stench of defeat out, well before lunchtime.
So where is this season's done, but what's still some hope, with Daniels if he comes back that they were going to be able to kind of right this thing? Because I don't know, man, some of the game management with the coach is a little bit perplexing.
Yeah, so I think the biggest concern is, I don't dispute what they did this offseason. They caught lightning in a bottle last year. All the things broke well. And then they decided, Adam Peters, in his second full year as GM, decided not to go all in for this year, but, they made big trade for Deebo Samuel, big trade for Laramie Tunsil. They signed some more one-year vets. And they didn't really address a lot of long-term issues. Now, a lot of that stemming from the last regime left the cupboard bare. But so a lot of the goodwill that people had in Adam Peters last year has kind of gone by the wayside because the injuries have ravaged the team, and now it's looking like we need to go back 2 years ago to a rebuild. Now, certainly we have the most important piece in the quarterback, but the cupboard is very bare. They need inside linebacker. They need line help all over the place on the defensive line. Their secondary is terrible. They need upgrades at running back and wide receivers, and tight end. They tried to kind of speed up the process this year. It didn't work. Some of it's their fault, some of it's injury. But they need to really, really hit on draft picks and hit on maybe young players in free agency because this team is void of a lot of depth and talent.
We had a lively debate over here, a game that featured one offensive touchdown, but plenty of fourth down failures last night for Detroit and Philadelphia combined, mostly for the Lions. Dan Campbell goes 0 for 5 on fourth down. Eagles 0 for 1 on a tush push, too, by the way. So 0 for 6, but on their own territory. And then Campbell's actually got his offense on the field in a 10-point game, instead of attempting a field goal to make it a one-possession game on 4th and 7, not 4th and 2, 4th and 17. What happened there? Did a timeout happen, or did they eventually was going to get a delay a game where he changed his mind?
Eagles called timeout.
Eagles called timeout. What are they doing? What's your thoughts, Troy?
Well, my thoughts are the Lions left points on the board. They lost by 7 points and they went for fourth down at least twice in field goal range, and you mentioned one of them. And then, well, it's inconsequential now, but those two field goals give you 6 points. They lost by 7. Where's that that other point coming from? Oh, the penalty that Jameson Williams got on the first touchdown.
Yes,
that pushed back the field goal, and the field goal or the extra point was missed. So they left the 7 points they needed to tie the game. One was a player error and 2 were coaching errors. And while that was a brutal game and they didn't play very well, the points were there. They just did not execute, and they in their heads, and it was all mental mistakes, in my opinion. I like coaches going for it on fourth down, but sometimes you got to reverse to the mean and do the safe thing, which is take the points. I think both the Commanders and Dolphins could have done that a little bit more in their game, even though they wanted to go for it. But I mean, the Lions are still a very good team. It's just this is the second straight primetime game that the Eagles have played in that has just been a slog. And if their offense isn't working out well, they got a defense that can just drag people into the mud, even the best teams, and that's what they seem to be doing right now.
One of the things that factors into my opinions on go for it or kick is, man, when you run up the gut and you get stopped for negative yardage, well, you're not running it up and gut again, so you kind of dictate and telling the defense that you got to pass. So that's kind of become one-dimensional. Another thing, Charlie, too, Goff is 14 of 37 last night. He's on his way there. So you got to have less confidence in your quarterback making these plays, too.
It looked like at times that the offensive line of the Lions was on roller skates. That many batted balls,
Well, Jalen Carter is becoming real good at it lately.
And he's not the only one. Brandon Graham was there. What did they bat? 6 balls, 7 balls last night at the line of scrimmage. I mean, they really got to push up front, and that certainly got to affect your decision-making too.
Hey, Troy, everybody, most of the players on Kansas City last night in sort of a more desperate spot than the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, it was actually not as wild as I thought. I mean, it didn't really rate well in terms of, a lot of money or a lot of tickets. Chiefs -4 was the fourth most wagered on play, but, I was surprised at how it kind of it was another game. And there were a lot, maybe it was because there was what was it, Rams Seahawks was another really good game. And so it did not rate in terms of, being the massive intake of tickets or handle that I would have anticipated. And I think maybe that's due to, people being a little bit off the Chiefs. They're now 5-5. They've been surging a little bit, but the Broncos really haven't been able to get anything going on offense the last few weeks. And prop markets are really massive, especially for Chiefs games. Even if Kelsey hasn't had a great year, he's still one of our most popular props. But you can't really do that with the Broncos because people don't like taking unders, and you'd have to take unders on Broncos, and we didn't see a lot of player props on that one.
Well, the has-been Super Bowl tonight. And it's funny that these two teams that were really good back in that era never faced off in the Super Bowl between the Cowboys and the Raiders. But what have you done for me lately here? These how are they going to no flex out of this one? But Cowboys bring eyeballs, I guess. Where's the action tonight? Cowboys and Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, as anticipated, 95% of the money, 90% of the tickets on the Cowboys to win outright.
Okay.
And honestly, -190, that's not. I think they're going to win. I know it's short, but it's not -245 or something, which I would anticipate. The Raiders are not good. In terms of spread, 71% of the money and 85% of the tickets are on the Cowboys, and 68% of the money and 69% of the tickets on the over. And the Cowboys have been an over team for the most part this year. They score a lot, and their defense is terrible. But at over under 50, you're basically relying on the Raiders to help out in that equation, and I don't know how much you can rely on the Raiders. The play I like in this one is, is actually a player prop, and I'm not a huge player prop guy, but this trend just stands out as Geno Smith has thrown at least one interception in each of his last 10 home games, and I believe it's like -165 for him to throw at least one interception. I know that the Cowboys' defense isn't great, but I think the Raiders' offense is worse. So that is a prop I do like tonight.
All right, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but a couple of games in the SEC, and let's start off with Florida and Ole Miss because this deep into the season, the lines are pretty baked pretty good. We don't see as much movement as earlier in the season. Not the case with Florida and Ole Miss. This thing started around 11 or 12. It went past 17. It went off at 10.5. I mean, this thing was all over the board. Kind of parallels the rumors about Lane Kiffin's future right now. But any reasoning to that you know of, Troy?
No, not that I know of. There was another game. I can't remember. Maybe Miami, North Carolina State was another one that I couldn't find a middle point in the line. It bounced all over the place. And we've taken a lot of action on Ole Miss in the last few weeks. But the only strong play in this game was there are a ton of tickets on Ole Miss to beat Florida outright, which is no surprise. But I have no idea why that game fluctuated as much as it did.
Alabama, according to a lot of people, the number one public play. They lose outright as a 6.5-point favorite. Was that the case at Bet Rivers as well?
Yes, sir. Most wagered on play was Alabama to win. Third most wagered on play was Alabama to cover. First and second most popular plays by tickets were Alabama to win and cover. So right there is about 5% of all Saturday college football tickets were down the drain. The SEC on Saturday was kind of wackadoo. Alabama should have won that game, I think, but Oklahoma played okay. It was just an odd game. Texas, I don't understand why so many people were backing Texas plus 4.5 at Georgia. Georgia's a good team. I don't trust Texas. And then obviously, I went to a college basketball game on Saturday, and I checked as I'm walking out, I checked the score, and I had to triple take to see if this was in fact accurate that South Carolina was up 30-3 at halftime on Texas A&M, and everyone had written closed the book on Dan Elko hours after he signed the extension, and then we obviously know what happened in the second half.
We're up against the clock, but real quickly, any tickets early when Texas A&M was so far behind money line?
Yeah. Texas A&M is the fourth most popular ticket, and a lot of it was live. Maybe not super duper long, but people got with Texas A&M. A lot of people got Texas A&M at plus money.
Maybe once they showed some signs that they were going to maybe come back.
And the highest you could have got them at was somewhere around plus 700 at halftime.
Oh, I believe so.
I thought plus
30-3. Plus what, Troy?
I saw it right around halftime. Maybe third quarter had just started, but I saw it at plus 650.
Okay, right around 7. Okay, right around 7-1. Troy, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you Friday.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Here at Big Mike's in Denham Springs, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All you can eat boiled shrimp here on Monday nights at Big Mike's Dollar Wings every Wednesday night. Word out of Atlanta today is Adam Schefter, among others, reporting that Michael Penix has suffered what they think is a potentially season-ending knee injury. At the very least, he's going to miss this week's game against the Saints. Came down awkwardly on that knee yesterday in the third quarter. Left the game. Kirk Cousins finished it. Of course, Jimmy, we know back from his time in college, multiple season-ending injuries for Michael Penix when he was at Indiana, before Indiana was Indiana. But before he went to Washington, 2018, torn ACL, had season-ending shoulder injuries twice in his college career. He was healthy at Washington the last two seasons that he was there, and they were terrific.
At all.
Yeah. So he's had a history, but not maybe a recent history. But he is going to miss some time. Probably be out of.
This was discussed
time.
when he was being, when the draft was coming.
Yeah.
When you got a range of opinions. I mean, he He had a series of injuries, and also Cousins, speaking of injuries, he doesn't look close to what he was pre-injury.
No. Saints likely to see him on Sunday afternoon in the Dome. It's a 3:25 start for Falcons and the Saints. We're back with hour number 2 here at Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill on Aspen Square in Denham Springs, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Here at Big Mike's, where Monday night is all you can eat ball shrimp, starting at 5 o'clock all the way until close tonight. Wednesday nights is $1 wings. It's also line dancing on Wednesday nights here. DJ Preston Wallace in for the last 2 LSU regular season games. Be here on stage. They are closed during the day on Thanksgiving, but I am told now that they will be opening at 6 o'clock on Thanksgiving night to come in here at Big Mike's. One of the best happy hours anywhere that you'll see from 3 until 7 Monday through Friday. It's $2.50 beer, $4 wells, and $5 wines. That's domestic draft and bottles. Also, you've got those happy hour drink prices are available on Sundays starting at 11 a.m. and going all the way until close. So come out and enjoy the NFL on Sundays. And we get into spring, college basketball, college baseball, NASCAR. Watch them on the big screens here at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill on Aspen Square in Denham Springs. You want to? We'll interrupt our airport stakeouts. I think that's my favorite part of coaching searches these days. Is the people that are staked out at the airports, staked out on the flight watch, the flight aware stuff.
Flight tracker.
Yeah, the flight trackers. It's like, hey, there was a flight that went from here to there, and you find out that it's some business guy on some business trip. It's got no idea what's going on.
Those sites are pretty accessible.
It's Miss Terry.
Yeah, right.
I've used it before when my flight was coming in late. I'm like, where the hell is this plane?
So that's what the software is
What's
supposed
the latest
to be for.
odds? Anybody check the odds board on the Kalshi? I'll say this: Kalshi is more accurate than Bet Online.
Way better.
Humax.
Yeah, way better.
Explain what that is.
Kalshi is a legal sports. It's not a sports book actually. It's a prediction market, so you can bet on anything from the weather.
It's
in New
legal.
York City to politics, anything. It moved significantly. He was up to Lane Kiffin was 75% to go to Florida as recently this weekend. He's down to 59% from the weekend. To give you an idea, there's $537,000 that's been in that market. So there's a lot of money that's moving this around, either yes or no. You can bet no on Lane Kiffin not to go to Florida, right? For LSU right now, it's a little bit kind of stagnant right now. They haven't really moved around. Lane Kiffin at 27%, followed by Summerall at 17% and Joe Brady at 13%. Eli Drinkwitz, among others.
You got an Auburn one on there with Summerall?
There is an Auburn one. Let me find it.
He seems to be trending in that direction, having grown up in Huntsville. Yeah. He and his wife.
I think an interesting one, while I get to that one, is what happens if Ole Miss has a job opening, right? That's a more attractive job, perhaps, than Auburn. Summerall is 54% to go to Auburn.
Here's a good question. Is Ole Miss, if both jobs were vacant in 2 weeks, which one's more attractive, Ole Miss or Auburn?
Auburn.
That's the chalk. That's the way it's always been. And we have to ask ourselves: is it still this way? I get when people say that the LSU job is better than the Ole Miss job, the Florida job is better than the Ole Miss job, but
it's tightened. Okay,
it's tightened a lot.
It's tightened. Yeah. All right, but still, I mean, Ole Miss has never been to the conference championship game. 3 straight coaches won the national championship at LSU
under the old format.
Right, but I mean, it's still it's not like ancient history.
No, but we live in a world now where Indiana, Vanderbilt, and Texas Tech are going to go to the playoffs.
Is Lane Kiffin maxing out his resources, or close to it at Ole Miss?
Yes, I believe that.
All right. So with that, when he leaves, I'm saying Ole Miss guy, and I'm giving $10,000 a year because we're more on the map. We matter a little bit more. When I lose my coach, am I still going to put up my money?
Yeah.
How many of those guys, because they've never been long-term committed. Now, maybe they will, but I don't think it's a given.
Maybe you're hungry to prove Kevin wrong.
I
Maybe
do
it's
know
like Notre
this.
Dame.
Yep, maybe you're Notre Dame, and you shift some things around in everything. Because if Notre Dame gave Brian Kelly everything they're giving Freeman as far as administrative support and all of this, admission support, he'd have never left.
Yep.
He'd have never, because, according to Tim Murray, our guy at Notre Dame, he said they got a little sour because, and listen, Kelly, every coach at every athletic department wants more, okay? But he was maxing, he was asking for more, and they just weren't. We've seen Notre Dame say before, they have a history of saying, we're Notre Dame, we don't need that, okay? Well, they gave Freeman everything that Kelly was demanding because they were jilted. And they said, so will Ole Miss say, we're not going to be showing up. We got to show that. And, do they have enough leadership to rally that type of support in Oxford? I don't know. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the history. They don't have a Yellowwood at Ole Miss, okay? And Yellowwood contributed to Troy when Summerall was there, okay? He's coached in the conference. And, who are they firing? What don't they like about Hugh Freeze?
What do they like about Hugh Freeze? He plays too much golf.
Okay, a little lazy, maybe. Okay, that's a lazy meter, or an uncommitted meter, but also retread. He's not as great as the current landscape of roster building.
In Summerall,
has he done a good job roster building?
Yes, at two different places.
What's that, Max?
An offensive guy who had no offense, a quarterback guy who had no quarterback. I mean,
he handpicked, Arnold. So, for them, and that's one of the biggest beats. You want to talk about an upset. I mean, that's Appalachian State beating Michigan with a blocked field goal. I mean, I'm sorry, Duke should not beat Auburn. Mensa should not have to go right past Auburn all the way to Durham. That should not happen.
Well, I'm just wondering, and I don't have the exact answer to this, but I'm looking at a college landscape now where here in a couple of weeks, Indiana, Ole Miss, and Texas Tech are going to make the playoffs, and Florida, Texas, LSU, and Auburn aren't. Is that if Kirk Cignetti tomorrow decided that he wanted to be the next coach of the New York Giants, okay, what's the Indiana job now? After you've seen
he's improved it for sure. Yeah. He has gotten some people excited, and will they capitalize on what we always talk? Did you leave it in better shape than what you inherited? And that is the biggest example at Indiana, okay? And the great thing is, too, Charlie, even with their pitiful athletic program, and it's been pitiful for a long time, because the basketball, that's so ancient history. Their biggest accomplishment under Bobby Knight. That's 30, 40 years. They still got that Big Ten affiliation. So they still have some budget. And so that's one that always gives you a chance at Minnesota, at Wisconsin, and at some of these other places. Even UCLA, who has to cut part of their check to Cal Berkeley.
Right.
Yes.
The job at Indiana, I think, this is just my opinion from the outside, is coach generated right now, okay? The coach made the difference. But when I think about Texas Tech, and this is probably not fair to Joey McGuire, who I think has done a great job there, but I think of that as athletic department revenues generated, okay?
Well, alumni. It's double equal. It's one guy.
Well, there's more than one, actually. He's the main guy, but there's more than one of them.
Name me anybody bigger in the country.
No, I can't name anybody bigger than him. I'm saying he's got 2 or 3 other guys that are billionaires underneath him that are giving money too.
Who's hustling him?
He's Kimball. Yeah, no, he's the big dog. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying he's not by himself over there. There's several other billionaires that are giving money to that school.
They got something called oil in Texas, Charlie.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
That helps.
There's a lot. So I would say that the Texas Tech thing is a lot more sustainable than the Indiana thing. Okay, if Cignetti leaves Indiana, I'm not sure
got basketball goals. They don't have oil.
I'm not sure they can say. If Joey McGuire decides to take the next job of the New York Giants.
Once upon a time, a resource was how many blue chippers you produced in your state, huh? Now it's how much oil you got.
And the proximity of those people to your campus.
And then Texas also they've now surpassed Florida as the most players in the NFL. They played their high school ball in Texas. Now they've got 50% more population. It's not per capita. I still think that Florida is the best brand of football in the country, high school football in the country, but they got more. And so they have a lot of money, but he's the guy he's the guy that started to get the others excited. I mean, and why not? I mean, it's easy to ask others for money when you're putting your own up.
Yeah, it gives you a layer of credibility for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that with these jobs, we used to be able to put them in order, at the very least on tiers.
We're having to reshuffle the deck.
It's
okay?
muddled now. It's a lot.
But I still think that, say, Texas Tech, I think they are, what is it? Is it $20 million is the collective they agreed on?
I'll take your word for it. I just know.
I thought it was 20.3.
Oh, no, 20.5 is the cap, yes, the revenue share. The revenue share.
Texas Tech's got a $30 million payroll this year in their athletic.
No, that's NIL. That's not revenue share.
Well, guess what?
Money's money. I get it.
Remember that silly little board that was going to identify and rule the legitimacy of the NIL?
Right.
They realized that's they tried to do it. It's they can spend as much as they want, and they got a lot. And so now they have a little something okay, I got something for my money. Because Maryland's got to Maryland and Wisconsin have to make statements, put out public statements. No, we're not firing our coach. I mean, this is a new day. I mean, when did that happen? Never.
Not very often. More often than not, you saw the dread. It used to be called the dreaded vote of confidence. Your athletic director would come out a couple weeks before Thanksgiving and say, "We have the utmost confidence in Coach so and so to lead us into the future." And 2 weeks later, they'd be fired.
So you got more firings than ever. You got others that are having to make announcements to try and keep their boosters, alum, fans, supporters, keep them just kind of
a very fancy way of saying we can't afford to fire the guy.
Right, when saying what it would cost us of paying Mike Loxley and all of his assistants, we'd rather spend that money this past offseason, including our freshman quarterback Malik Washington, to try and keep him stay here because he's got a lot of offers. But that's a crazy one, huh? The win total was 4.5. They go out to a 4-0 lead. 4-0 start in their record. Their next 3 games, they have a lead in the fourth quarter. They're 4-7 now, 4-6, 4-7. They might not even win.
I hadn't been paying that close
attention.
I
have because
we sure you make
that was one of my picks too.
As
far, but I mean they lost a 20-point lead at home to Washington. They lost another lead. I mean, so they've had their tough luck, and it was a promising season because Washington looked like he might be the real deal, a freshman quarterback, unlike Underwood or Manning. That was it looked like he was hitting the floor running early. Speaking of which, you think Georgia was a little tired of all that hoopla to Austin? You think so? Wait a minute. They getting all the hype. Man, we've been doing this for how long here in Athens?
Since they grew those hedges on the side of the stadium. I want to talk about that game. I just had to get some more of this coaching stuff out. Because
it's fun.
We're
gonna see some things going on in the next week or two. Because the signing date, they have to salvage it. It's on all of the decision makers, the search committees. It's all on their list, and that's why things are getting antsy. That's why things are getting aggravated and flat out a little uncomfortable in Oxford.
Things a week from today, things will.
Why aren't you signing this deal? Why are you not signing? We have given you everything you've asked for. Everything and then some. We promised to give you more. Why are you not signing this deal?
Because the longer I wait, the more you're going to give me, or the more somebody else is going to give me. That's my answer. Or put another way, because Jimmy Sexton told me to. He told me to just sit tight, and I'll get even more. There is no there is no number. There is no number.
There's a deadline. Ole Miss has to know at some point. I don't know if they're replacing him.
Oh, they're trying to put pressure on him, but he's got the leverage. They're going to fire him. and this is why. And everybody talk. Who just got the recent contract? Gave him all kinds of. Who just got the biggest the renewal? Oh, what coach was it?
Well, Cignetti got his.
No, we know about Cignetti.
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule, and there was another one that just got a new deal. Are we all criticizing those contracts now? But is Rule a lock in Lincoln?
Elko got
one. Elko Saturday.
There you go.
Saturday, yeah.
Boom! Looked like he just stayed and was celebrating with the champagne. He didn't come out for the first half. He had to sober up in the second half, huh, Charlie?
He sobered up in a hurry.
I mean, they're getting drilled in the first half by 4 touchdowns, and there's the crawler at the same time. Mike Elko signs his extension. I mean, well, is there a lock that he's going to stay? That he's going to keep winning?
Not at that level, no.
No, well, I mean, but
that.
everybody said, well, these contracts are going away, these long-term. Well, they're still popping out because the coach can make a difference. But he's no lock to sustain it.
We're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierreport Store, the LaRose and Lockport stores. Get online right now at thethibodeaustore.com to get you to any of these websites. Their Black Friday deals are on there right now, and one of the points of emphasis today is power tools. So if you're looking for Christmas gifts for dad, for your husband, for your brother, cordless power tools, nails and staplers, all of your air compressors, all of your hobby tools, your stationary bench top power tools, all on special right now at thethibodeaustore.com. Of course, you know, it's not just that, but it's specialty gifts. The Thibodeau Store, they've got cypress furniture, crawfish pots, jambalaya pots, big green egg cookers if you want to go there. A lot of these items are available for delivery. Not all, but a lot of them. And same-day pickup is available if you start at the website at thethibodeaustore.com. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux and Highway 70 in Pierreport, and the 2 newest locations in LaRose and Lockport, the Thibodeau Store and thethibodeaustore.com. Take a break here at Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Return here at Big Mike's. Again, all you can eat ball shrimp every Monday night starting at 5 o'clock. Jimmy, I don't have to ask Max his opinion of this call because I know what he would say. But I'm interested to see what you would say. This was in South Carolina, Texas A&M. This is South Carolina's first drive of the second half. A&M took the opening kickoff of the second half, went down, got a touchdown to make it 30-10. Okay.
Yeah.
South Carolina puts together a drive, and they get down to the 30-yard line, and they have 4th down and 1. 7:13 to go in the game at that point. They decide to go for it.
The third.
Huh?
7:13 in the third.
In the third,
yeah,
yes.
You said the game.
I'm sorry. It's 7:13 in the third quarter. The kicker at that distance is 4 out of 7 on the year. He had made a 41-yarder earlier in the game, just to give you the full context. A&M went for it. South Carolina went for it. They missed. They never got that close again. I know what Max is going to tell me. He's going to tell me that there's no difference between 33-10 and 30-10, right? That's
two-possession game.
Okay. 3-possession game.
You're creating another opportunity for a continued spark. Now, did they create the spark in their opening drive, which resulted in a touchdown? Yeah, but if anything, that game is the poster child for momentum. And some people, momentum is an intangible. It's not something that we can put in a box score. But anybody who's played sports, have been around sports long enough, it's real. And this was part of it. You just doused the fire a little bit more, or created an opportunity. Now, if you miss the field goal, or even block the field goal, are you creating a spark too? Absolutely. I mean, if they come away with it, I think it's a tough call, Charlie. 4th and 1, it's the distance makes it tough. 4th and 4 or more, I think it's a much tougher call. 4 out of 7, that's not a given. You know that.
No,
so that's about 60-40, and I'd like to have a little bit more than 60-40 if I'm going to put my kicker out there. In college kicking, well, it's harder. It's not the pros in kicking as well. So I think it's a tough call. But no, I can live with it different way. You know what I do
I'm
like?
not killing
you know what
them
I
for the
do
call
have?
either.
You know what so I'm going to go for it. The defense. What do they fear the most on 4th and 1?
Well,
my 245-pound quarterback going on a rollout in a pass run read option. A pass run option. I mean, because I know even if the play's not available, he's so damn athletic and strong, he can he can take 2 or 3 guys, past the first down marker.
When I hear about a
and
team
he was hot at that time too.
When I hear about a team that's blown this big a lead in the second half, the first thing I think of is, did they sit on the lead? They didn't. Okay, they went for it there. The next drive, 2 of the 3 they went 3 and out, but 2 of the 3 were passes. The drive after 2 drives after that, 2 of the 3 plays were passes. They got sacked on both of those. So I had to look at it as I'm watching the LSU game closer than I'm watching that game at the same time. But they didn't sit on the lead, Jimmy. They tried. They did not get conservative, but A&M came out there and made all of the plays in the second half.
We talk about it. We try and try and come with final judgments all the time, and it's just not the way it works a lot of times as far as this guy's good, this guy's great. You don't know from game to game, year to year, and you don't know drive to drive, and you certainly don't know half to half. Marcel Reed was as bad as you can get in that first half, and he was good as you can get in the second half. I mean, he's a dynamic quarterback, and so are these inconsistent quarterbacks. And with the dual threat quarterbacks now, you see more variance in their play, from play to play, drive to drive, half to half, game to game. And, I mean, his decisions in the first half were, nauseating. I mean, he's throwing right to Carolina DBs. In the second half, they couldn't stop him. So he was hot, man, in the second half.
And I don't think that it's a slam dunk to kick the field goal there. I'm picking on Max.
It's 1 yard to go.
Yeah, you feel like you ought to be able to make.
Because the first thing you do, did you go to a long count, try and draw them off sides? Because
the hard count
worked for Kirby.
See that? Oh gosh, did he get him? All right, let's talk about that.
I watched it last Sunday in the NFL. Happened twice. Oldest trick in the book.
And you would think that
4th and less than 5. Let's go to a long count.
You got 4 defensive coaches on the sideline screaming, "You're deaf! You're deaf! You're deaf!" Watch the ball. But let's talk about that game for a minute here, Georgia and Texas, because this was close going into the fourth quarter. It certainly felt like the momentum might start to move in the other direction. And then Georgia gets a touchdown, and we talked about this on Football Sunday yesterday with Rohan. Kirby felt like he could seize the momentum there with the onside kick. And I know it's not a direct comparison to what Saban did in the championship game against Clemson, but he felt like, hey, here's my opportunity to seize the momentum, to steal a possession, whatever you want to call it. And they went for it, and they made it, and that put it away.
This was the national championship game was a tie game. Okay, when he did it Saturday night, it was a double-digit
21-10. They just made it 21-10.
It happened before that. So Georgia is in control. They're up 14-3. They turn the ball over, and Manning makes a play, and they score a touchdown, 14-10. The first time, it's like, all right, Georgia's controlled most of this thing, but here is Texas. Is the biggest threat that they've been. If you want to talk about win probability and in-game money line, the whole bit, it's the tightest it's been in a long time. So Kirby at 4th and 1 at his own 36 goes for it. And what does he do on 4th and 1? He lets there's Gunnar Stockton over the course of the game, and there's Gunnar Stockton when the game's on the line, huh? And he makes a throw for 10 yards to move the chains. They get to fourth down early in the fourth quarter, and at 4th and about 5, a little less than 5, he gets them to jump off sides. And so they turn it 2 4th down conversions. They cash it in. Must have been like a 14-play drive. And then the onside kick as well and get it and continue. And they punch that. So Texas, with as big of a threat they've been, the next time they get the ball, they're down 18 instead of 4.
Yeah.
So
he completely put the game.
He's like, I got to stop this threat by, so he wasn't even in the chase mode. But for a guy that has leaned on his personnel, his roster being bigger, stronger, faster than their opponents, which they've been for most of his run, we don't really give him a whole lot of credit for game management and stealing one of these possessions here or this out scheming his opponent here. Kirby did a number on him Saturday night.
He's not going to win the Heisman, but if my game was on the line this Saturday, there ain't very many quarterbacks that I would take in front of Gunnar Stockton. When you think about some of the plays, the big plays in tight situations that he has made this year, in the second half at Tennessee, when they had to come from behind and that fourth down play, and they win that game in overtime. Now, they got lucky to win the game, but he made because the Tennessee kid missed a field goal, but he made the plays to get them back in it. Against Ole Miss, a game that was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, he made plays in the fourth quarter. Against Florida, another tight game in the fourth quarter where he makes some plays. And then this one where he throws 4 touchdown passes. The kid's been clutch.
Nobody's been more clutch than Stockton. At the quarterback position. Nobody.
I mean, the other kids with better numbers, but as far as, hey, we got to have a play right here, this kid has made.
And you were looking at that onside kick, and it's unusual, but it was that fourth down where he could have just handed the ball off. And, no, they put it in his hands and let him throw it. He was – now, I want to say he had a pick. Oh, it was a turnover. Was it a pick or a fumble in the Alabama game?
Oh,
when they were down 3 in the fourth quarter inside the 30-yard line. So I'm going to have to go back and see exactly what it was. But no, the Tennessee game.
It must have been a fumble because he didn't have an interception in that game.
Okay. So maybe it was a completion that the ball carrier fumbled in. So, but they had one where Alabama kind of 30-1 right now for his Heisman odds, tied for 5th. With a guy like Jeremiah Love, the running back for Notre Dame. So not nearly – Mendoza's minus 110. So it's basically him versus the field right now, the quarterback for Indiana with Sagan at plus 180. And I just think that – look, I didn't think – now, they turned the ball over, but I didn't think I thought Simpson kept Alabama in the game on Saturday because they have no running game. They were put behind. They outgained their opponent 2-1. But and he fell off the cliff. Because his team lost. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this, fair or unfair, for years. It's a team award first. But it seems like that Big Ten championship game, how are you going to be able to – somebody's got to win. So the quarterback, one of these quarterbacks is going to win. And unless they win and throw 3 interceptions, I just don't see how anybody else is going to catch the winner of that Big Ten championship game.
I
And
can't.
Gus Johnson has such an impact on Heisman voters. Give me a Heisman now!
Hey, Gus. All right.
Oh, yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends over at Total Maintenance. Total Maintenance. I mean, we're using the air conditions one night. We're using the heaters another night. But now's the time to call my friends at Total Maintenance at 480-1000. Get those heating safety inspection checks. That's right, the heating safety inspection checks. But also, when we're just lightly using these units, you're not thinking about being really hot and really wearing those ACs out. But if your unit is over 10 years old, if your unit was serviced this past summer, this is the time to get the best deal on a replacement unit now. Carrier, American Standard, Daikin, Rheem units, all to choose from. Call our friends at Total Maintenance. You will get a lot of savings on replacing that unit right now. Call our friends at Total Maintenance, 480-1000, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. My buddy Lucas Ragusa and his staff, he's been doing it at every level of this whole operation where he understands what it takes to put a great team together at Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
Live at Big Mike's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Couple of minutes away from the Frank Wilson press conference, and then we'll be back for the other side of the show. I wanted to ask you about the Oklahoma-Alabama game. When we talked about this on Friday, I thought that Alabama would be made one-dimensional by that Oklahoma defense, and for the most part, that was true.
He had a little success running the ball.
2.4 yards per carry.
Well, with the sacks. Look at the running backs.
Hill had 15 carries for 60 yards. That's better than what they have been doing, yes.
They were okay. It wasn't as bad as it's been against weaker defenses, but just the yards were hard. And then the 70-yard pick six?
Well, yeah. So what I got right was they did put a lot of pressure on Ty Simpson, and he did make a couple of mistakes. He had the fumbling and the pick six, which was the turning, the huge play in the game. But I was wrong in that he wouldn't be able to carry that offense with no running game against a defense like Oklahoma. Because, Jimmy, I mean, they go for well over 400 yards. They almost double Oklahoma's offensive output. So, look, he did a lot of heavy lifting to keep Alabama in that thing without a lot of running game to help.
And I'll maintain that with limited rushing attack to kind of help their balance, he has played at a high level. Now, he's got weapons. There's no doubt. But for a first-year starter, I mean, now he's not a freshman, but for a first-year starter, he's played at a pretty high level. When the yards are this hard, though, man, those turnovers 3-0, -3, and one of them is for a score.
Yeah,
I mean that's hard to overcome. And so what it did was it put them behind the whole time. They were never leading. They took the lead 21-20, middle of the third quarter, and so. To overcome that, it looked like they were on their way, huh? And give Oklahoma credit, but it was just, even though Oklahoma gave up 400 yards, they tackled well, they pressured well, they came up with a few turnovers, and their kicker is, I don't care if he's wearing a Speedo out there to kick, but I mean, my man he's the best. Who's a better kicker in college football?
I don't know. He needs to rethink his wardrobe, but no, he can kick. No doubt.
He's a great kicker, Charlie.
No doubt about it. Okay, we're going to take you to the Frank Wilson press conference. We're back here on the other side. Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill, where on Monday nights it's all you can eat boiled shrimp. The best happy hour in the business from 3 until 7, Monday through Friday, and all day on Sunday. Back on the other side, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Annie from Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And a return here at Big Mike's on Aspen Square. Heard Frank Wilson in the press conference. Kind of went through the game, started a little pedestrian, and we certainly talked a lot about the game in the first hour today as well. Some of the things that he brought up when he got to the Q&A portion of this is that Garrett Nussmeier is still he's still there. He is still hopeful to play this weekend. It is senior day, but that they don't have any update on that today. And he said, Jimmy, that he played courageously, which is an interesting word. When we
talk about Nussmeier,
through the course.
Hurt.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Is that it's a convenient, not a convenient, a very polite way of saying he has played injured. Now, how hurt, injured, how hurt, we'll probably debate that forever. What he was able to do and not able to do, only he knows for sure. But he was compromised at some point. And should he have been sat down in the Southeastern game? Absolutely. And some of the other games, maybe.
You don't go backwards in your quarterback development by choice. And I understand protection was an issue, but they just were not throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've never seen that stat brought up before, but we sure saw it. What was the game where they
Vandy.
The Vandy game where they brought up it was basically an arm strength meter.
Yeah.
And he went from I would have put his 1, 2, or 3. We could debate a little bit, but strongest arm in college football last year. And you go back, and we can go back to that point where we're all a little bit, the report, basically like we thought he tore an ACL, basically practice. I mean, we're getting all kinds of calls, right?
Oh, gosh,
okay,
yes.
okay.
That went on for 2 weeks.
Well, he heard something,
probably,
right?
We were doing the show from the back area of Rufino's. We were waiting for when they were redoing the bar. They were bringing those reports to us as we did the show.
Yes.
You remember that show?
Yes, people off the street trying to, you hear this, you hear this, you hear that. I mean, it's – so he was injured to start the season, and, I mean, he got the crap beat out of him, Charlie. I mean,
I watched it.
we know that. We know what we've seen. And so, yeah, that's a complimentary way to to say that he played through a lot of pain, and he was also limited. He was less than 100%.
And I think it means something that he's still out there, that he's still encouraging, that he is still upbeat, that he didn't, leave the Alabama game, put a towel over his head and just, check out. Or that, tell me he could not have withdrawn from the team and said, guys, listen, I love y'all, but I got to, next spring's the NFL draft. This is my draft. This is my career. This is my future. I'm going to Arizona to work with, private trainers from between now and the draft. I'm sorry. I'm not going to just stick around here, for the last few games of the season. He could have done that. I might not even blamed him if he did that, but he didn't do that. So I give him credit.
Well, the starting quarterback at Florida State did it at Boston College, huh? He just flat out quit the team.
Yeah.
So we're in that era,
right?
Where it's not.
It wouldn't have even been a blip on the radar. 10 years ago, when you skipped the bowl game, it was major national news. Now it's like, okay, they're going to get ready for the draft.
He has a track record of commitment to the LSU football program.
Yes, he does. Yes,
he
does.
And in the end, where he's going to be a very interesting debate on where he should be drafted, because when healthy, he's got a lot of ability, limited mobility, and just a last season at LSU where his stock declined. Fair or unfair. So where do you draft him? We can get this guy in the third round, man. He's a first round grade on our board, or something like that. Oh, wait a minute, why did he go back? So it's going to be a very interesting conversation between a guy like Aller. This was a year where we had some quarterbacks, college quarterbacks, had their stock decline, huh? But one thing that he's going to have going for him that is he did not. People want to see how you react to the toughest situations, and he stuck around. He stuck around, played through pain. Who on that staff is going to say, no, man, he really wasn't that hurt? You heard Frank right there.
Right.
His words, courageously. And you know that. He's gotten the crap knocked out of him. He was less than 100% to begin with, and so he had it's tougher than most.
Here's another player who has been here for a long time and has played the whole season, and at times been frustrated with him. But the last two games, man, he's looked good. That's Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins, I thought, made some really big plays against the Clemson game, in the Clemson game. And then there were games, especially Ole Miss, especially Texas A&M, little bit in Vanderbilt, where didn't look like he was playing hard. Certainly didn't look like he was playing smart. And now these last two games, and he has played in every game this year, by the way, coming off that injury from last year. He has been back to making plays, disruptive plays. We would have loved to have seen that throughout the course of his career, but a guy that has flashed, Perkins is playing maybe his best football of the season the last 2 weeks.
Jalen Green can run.
Yes, sir.
And boy, he closed in on him so quick. At the play he made for the interception, I said, wait, who was that? That was one of the safety. That was a talented safety type of play, on that ball. One thing about LSU's DBs / Perkins, man, they don't drop interceptions. They have made some interceptions. Their hands for DBs, usually you see drops. How did he drop? No, they when they get their hands on them, man, they usually bring it in. And that's going to be one of those plays that they show when he, they're talking about his stock and they're analyzing him. So. Arkansas sure has gotten a raw end out of his career.
Yeah, if they only watch the games that he played against them, they probably think he's going to be a first pick in the draft or something like that, because he's had his best games against them. And there were other games where, like I said, Vandy, Texas A&M, where he looked disinterested, looked distracted, whatever. I think he's going to be really interesting to see what an NFL team does with him. I don't know. In my head, Jimmy, he can be a guy like what Jamal Adams was his first year in Seattle, where they played him as a safety, essentially a box safety. He wasn't asked to do too much in coverage, but he was a disruptor up there, but he wasn't an inside linebacker per se. Kyle Hamilton with the Ravens, they do some similar things with him up near the line of scrimmage. that's kind of the role. And I don't know if he'll be as good as either one of those guys. Those guys were both first-round picks. And I don't think Perkins is anymore. But that's not to say that he doesn't have a lot of ability. And a creative defensive coordinator could do some really fun stuff with him at the NFL level.
He can do some things that a lot of people can't. Well, he's got that type of bend coming around the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, there ain't many that can do that, man. So he can fly. He's you just wish that you want to see him put into position. One thing that I didn't get out of Frank's talk, which I wish I would have, and I understand they got punched. They got punched in the mouth, down 14-0. They responded, took the lead into halftime, and then it was in the balance down the stretch, the goal line stance. But what did we think about Bobby Petrino? Okay, not
kind, benevolent.
Yeah. Okay, but
very respectful of others.
But a respected, innovative play designer, play caller, and it just seemed like he was having a day with on the throwback to the tight, wide open. And these are. I mean, when they're 4th and 1, I'm like, oh, he brings everybody in tight because this is play action coming. I think it was a pre-snap penalty that stopped that play from going on. But it's the wide open guys in these chunk plays for Arkansas. They kind of went away after the first quarter. And what did Baker do? What did LSU do? I was interested to see what kind of adjustments they made to try and stop a guy, because usually when Petrino has guys in the clear early, it continues. And it didn't on Saturday. And
they also Green got loose for one long run, the 55-yard run. Yeah, he's a good player. But other than they did not. He didn't make all. I was worried that all those 3rd down and 7s, 3rd down and 8s, if you can get him in those positions, he picks those up like nobody's business because of how fast he is. And they didn't do that. They were good in their containment of him. Like I said, he got loose for one. But they were very good. I said in the pregame, I said, hold him under his average, which was 71 yards and change per game. They held him to 70, so close enough. I thought it worked out well for them that they were able to contain him just enough. I thought it was going to be. It looked like Arkansas was going to have their way early in the game. It did look like LSU was a little bit out of sorts early. He called it pedestrian. We got off to a pedestrian start. Again, that's very polite language.
So the 6 conference games for Arkansas, 5 of the 6 are one-possession games.
The other one they lost by 11?
Yeah, but they led by 11 at half.
Okay, yeah.
When they start turning the ball over left and right against Auburn at home. They're in every game. So this rarely is an 0-6 team. Every game's in the balance.
You can flip half a dozen plays on this season and maybe flip their record. Maybe not completely over. I'm not saying they'd be 6-0 in the conference, but they would certainly be 3-3, 4-2, something like that. 5
or 6 games. And look, we're not talking about some easy games either. At Ole Miss, at Tennessee, against Texas A&M. Mississippi State.
The Tennessee game, they got a late touch. They were down 10. They got a touchdown.
Down 17.
Okay.
At 2 late touchdowns.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
They were not going to win that game.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. But the Auburn game,
the Auburn game, sure.
They're up 8 at the end of 3.
Right.
Tennessee got away from them a little bit, so that wasn't really as close as it was. The final score was much closer than Auburn, but it was not nearly as close as Auburn.
No. The last thing he talked about that I wanted to mention, he said a bowl game's a big deal for us, and I can understand if people out there scoffing at that because the bowls have lost so much of their luster. For years after the bowl, the playoffs had come into play, and the bowls had sort of been de-emphasized. Well, we still thought it was a good, the idea of having 15 more practices or 10 more practices was valuable. Okay, then you say, well, now is it really valuable if you've got a coaching change because you're not practicing stuff that is going to be with the guy you're going to have next year, and the transfer portal. A lot of these guys will be practicing. They're going to be playing for somebody else. But I do think it gives – so I think it's less important than it used to be, but not that it's unimportant. And I think it gives Frank a chance to keep some kids in the building in December, you know?
Maybe.
And it might not matter for some.
But Charlie, Frank's in a completely different role than us and the fans in this thing, because you don't want – I mean, the fans are not happy to begin with, all right, with the season, the way it's gone, okay? We are knocking them a little bit too, okay? But he's got to create in-season goals now that are clearly different than the ones they started at the start of the season with, because you don't want the four-letter word. The worst four-letter word you can have on your team, your college football team, quit. You can't have that. And I saw some of that four-letter word in the second half against Texas A&M.
Plenty of it.
One thing you cannot accuse this team of under 2 games under Frank Wilson, you can't throw that four-letter word out.
No, they have not quit. And I think his best chance, LSU's best chance to retain some of these guys is to have practice
and it may be so. I mean, maybe not. You know, there's going to be a lot of variables there. But he's got to keep his team playing. And because the last thing you want is, even if you're, I don't know if it's 2/3 fill, 3/4 fill, 80%, whatever, however bodies were in that stadium, you don't want to leave. Damn, we quit. No, nobody left that stadium thinking that team quit. Nobody.
There's all kind of ways to motivate your team, and we got the game time for the game against Oklahoma, 2:30. And LSU may be playing spoiler.
And not every interim coach is going to get it has the ear of his players to reestablish, to recreate some in-season goals. And this is why he was the perfect person for this interim, because I think I will listen to an argument, and my money was on second half against A&M. We may have had a little quit in us, okay? So who was the guy has relationships, multiple stays here with everybody from high school coaches to players to ex-players. Who's the guy that has the most invested? And it's Frank. And so when you care about your players and people off the field and have had relationships, they're going to produce for you on the field. And so, listen, they're still playing. They have tape. And again, not just Nussmeier when it's going bad for him, injury-wise, beat up, performance, the whole thing. Is he still staying around the program, or is he going to Arizona with his private coach? No, he's staying. He wants to be part of the program and wants to be on the sideline and be a sounding board for Van Buren in his first start or his next start or whatever. But also, everybody's got a highlight reel. Everybody's got one of those. What about when y'all were knocked out of the national championship picture or the conference championship picture? Are you still putting out there? Are you still performing there? Are you still have a level of effort there? That's what I want to see. And that's where the better scouts, that they outdistance themselves from the other ones. When it's going bad, because it's sports. Adversity's coming. It's just how you respond to it. And a lot of those guys still got that tape running.
And you use whatever motivational tactics you think work. A week from now, we might, if Oklahoma beats Missouri.
Be spoiler. Hell yeah.
Oklahoma will be playing LSU for a spot in the playoffs, in my opinion, because it would get them to 10-2. I don't think they're going to
control their own destiny
in the playoffs. Yeah, yes. So it doesn't matter for the SEC championship game. But use that. Say, hey, we want to knock out Oklahoma out of the playoffs. If it helps, go right ahead. Yeah. If you think that'll push a specific button, then go right ahead. Use whatever you got.
It's good that when I'm caught up, I'm at the Queen, I'm watching, but as some of the reports and listen to Frank, it meant a lot to him to get that W.
Yes, it did.
And I'm all about that. So that's good stuff. So don't forget, today we're over here at Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Charlie said we got one more 10 a.m. show? 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. show?
Next Monday.
Monday. We were at the Queen yesterday. We'll be at Caesar Sportsbook this Sunday for Football Sunday. Now, Football Sunday goes all the way through the Super Bowl, rotating between the Queen and Caesar. So we're looking forward to that. Don't forget our friends at Workbox. Workbox can handle all your removable storage needs, commercial and residential. Our shipping containers come in all various sizes, 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, even 8x40 feet, not just one size. So give my buddy Martine Patio, give him a call at 343-4886 or visit their website at workboxllc.com. Workbox, and Workbox Services can handle all of your movable storage needs.
Back to wrap it up here at Big Mike's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, Charlie,
yeah,
we're checking the plane meters,
Okay.
And looks like Whit Weeks got on a plane and head to Oxford to go pick up Landry.
Okay.
Yeah. So, besides that, nothing else going on. Max? Max?
They're public plane trackers, and there was a plane that left from Baton Rouge this morning, went to Oxford, and landed back here right after. So that's what we know.
Aren't there planes?
Don't we have a meme of Charlie at the BTR doing the directions coming in?
The last time I was on a plane,
with those little orange, kind of direct.
Yeah, the little cone,
yeah,
waving in the right direction. We got 2 weeks of this, right?
Yes.
2 weeks away.
I said by 2 weeks. So it's going to happen in these 2 weeks. So I don't know exactly when.
Well, nobody does.
But 2 weeks, we'll know our coach.
How
I expect that we'll know who our coach is.
How crazy is the Egg
What do you
Bowl
think, Charlie?
going to be?
I think they would very much like to have that coach in place
Max?
that day you're talking about.
How crazy would the Egg Bowl be if this is going down, at the end of that?
We got to go back and listen to the audio good of the game, the Florida Ole Miss game Saturday, because Florida jumps on top. We want Lane. We want Lane.
Wasn't it both?
The students after the game, when they won, they hung around when the game was over. We want Lane. We want Lane. And of the guy, who's got more of a shenanigan-filled, off-the-field coaching career than Lane Kiffin? And everybody's just fawning after him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, really. Did you ever think that you would see him in this in this situation?
No. Where's Lane? If a coaches meeting, as was the press availability for the national championship game. He's in Boca looking at places.
Yeah.
Oh, well, get what? Wants to go to Boca and go now. Sark, you calling the plays against Georgia in the national championship game.
Nick Tolan to move along. All right, here at Big Mike's.
Let me go. Boca is not Gainesville.
No, Boca's very nice.
No, they're different.
All you can eat ball shrimp on Monday nights, $1 wings on Wednesday nights, live music on the weekends here at Big Mike's on Aspen Square. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Charlie, live